Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was born on September 21, 1909, in a small town called Nkrofo in the western region of Ghana, then known as Gold Coast. The original name of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah is Francis Iwia Kofi Ngloma, but Kwame is his traditional Akan name given him based on the day he was born. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah attended Catholic Elementary School in Hafasini from 1923 to 1927 and continued to Government Middle School in Axim from 1927 to 1930. He attended St. Augustine's College in Cape Coast from 1930 to 1933. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah attended Lincoln University, Pennsylvania, in the United States of America from 1935 to 1939, where he studied sociology and economics. He mastered in philosophy and education in University of Pennsylvania in the United States of America from 1939 to 1943. After his graduation, whilst living in London, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was invited by J.B. Dankwa to join the United Gold Coast Convention, that's the UGCC, as its secretary in 1947 in the struggle for independence, upon recommendation made by Akon Ejay. Interestingly, Pa Grant, a wealthy businessman and a founding member of the UGCC, paid for Nkrumah's boat fare from Liverpool to the Gold Coast. He left the UGCC as a result of a number of factors. 1. The timing in independence. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah believed in self-government now, as opposed to UGCC's ideology of self-government within the shortest possible time. Again, there was ideological differences. Thus, Kwame Nkrumah was more into socialism and communism as opposed to UGCC's capitalism. Nkrumah also believed in mass mobilization in the party structure, thus involving the masses, as opposed to UGCC's belief and concentration on the educated elites in the struggle for independence in the Gold Coast at the time. And as a result of this, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah left the UGCC on 12 April 1949 and formed the Convention People's Party on June 12, 1949. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah achieved a number of things for the Gold Coast from 1960 to 1966. 1. The number of government secondary schools increased from 38 to 59 from 1957 to 1960. He also established the Ghana Housing Corporation in 1956 to see to the development of dwelling places affordable to the ordinary Ghanaian worker. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah also built new hospitals. Example is the Tetakwashi Hospital at Mampong Kwapim and the Fiankwanta Hospital at Sekendi. His government also constructed a number of railway lines. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah also constructed port and harbour in the country, especially the Tama Harbour. It was constructed purposely to ease congestion at the Takoradi Harbour that was constructed by Governor Gatchisburg. He also established the country's own shipping line, the Black Star Line. This helped Ghana to break away from the British West African shipping line. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah also established the Ghana Airways Corporation and his role in the African unity. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's vision of seeing Africa's total liberation made him transfer his Pan-Africanist ideas into Africa. His statement during the declaration of Ghana's independence is meaningless unless it is linked to the total liberation of the African continent, portrayed his readiness for Africa's liberation from colonialism. With George Padmore as his advisor on African affairs until Padmore's death in 1959, the first major step towards the realization of African unity was taken in Accra. 8 states were represented: Ethiopia, Sudan, Egypt, Libya, Morocco, Liberia, and Ghana. A joint declaration was issued whereby the leadership urged them to assert an African personality in the world. A number of factors made Dr. Kwame Nkrumah to be unpopular among Ghanaians from 1964 to 1966 when he was overthrown. The Avoidance Discrimination Act was enacted in 1957. This act was passed purposely to check against any political party being formed based on a regional, ethnic, or religious base. And this was made purposely as a result of the National Liberation Movement, which was a pro-Ashanti party that was formed in 1954 and led by Bafo Osei Akoto, the chief linguist of Asantehene at the time, Joseph W.S. de Graft Johnson, and J.A. Brymer. And this law made all other political parties in the country to come together to form the United Party, led by Dr. K.A. Buzia and Chief S.D. Dombo as deputy. The enactment of the Prevention Detention Act of 1958 was also a key fundamental element to Nkrumah's overthrow in 1966. This law gave Kwame Nkrumah's government the power to detain up to 5 years without trial anyone who is suspected of trying or coming up with actions that could upset the nation's security and trying to assassinate the president. And this law was also passed purposely to strengthen the national security. He also enacted the Aliens Compliance Order, which also aimed at making sure foreigners would not interfere in the local politics. In February 24, 1966, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown by the National Liberation Council, led by Colonel E.K. Kutuka and Major A.A. Efuifa. At the time, Nkrumah was in China. After being overthrown, he remained in exile in Guinea, where he was granted asylum by the president of Guinea at the time, Sekou Touré. He lived in Conakry until he died in April 27, 1972. In 1972, his remains were brought back to Ghana and reburied in his hometown in Nkrofo. Later in 1992, his remains were moved to the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park.